Leonard, how are you? It's February 7th, 2021, Super Bowl Sunday. Beautiful day here in Southern California, so we have a lot to be blessed for. It would be that much better if the Saints were playing in today's game, but they're not, all right? Because we're all about the Saints in this house. And my wife, spent a good part of her time, Julia, in New Orleans, and we got robbed last year, by that penalty. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was last year, the Rams had horrendous pass interference, and the Saints were going to win, and then they didn't. All right, but that's life. All right, so we're in student view right now. All right, and a lot of you guys have added this week, and so we're good. There's no more ads. The last day to add in USC was Friday. Okay, so that means we're going to stay on track now. Okay, a lot of you had to catch up in terms of doing the weekly assignments. Okay, right in here. I see my hovering over this. So we're going to stay on track now. All you guys are going to stay on track. Okay, and Monday to Monday. Got your quiz done. Got to get your quiz done. Got to get your discussion done. All right. What is the key to success in terms of discussion? One, very nice substantive post. Okay. And three posts on your friends post. Okay. So it's not that hard to do. Okay. You just let the learning fly from your fingers, and then suddenly it really does improve your learning. All right. Okay, so we're going to embark into a little biology this week, okay, and subsequent to that, we'll apply it to the big three, okay, another three. We're going to apply it to cancer. We're going to apply it to diabetes / heart disease. They are kind of interwoven, and then we'll do Alzheimer's disease. And then for there, we're going to get into more kind of personalized aspects of aging. We're going to do caregiving, do a look at global economics, and then we're going to be talking a lot about financing and becoming a financial planner for yourself or for your friends, whatever it is. Okay. Don't forget to put this right here. Okay. So you should put this into your calendars. Okay. You see, and I'll be coming next week, probably. I think so. With instructions on CT1. You can go ahead and read it up on your own. You could do it on your own, how to do it, but I will walk you through it next week. Okay. What else do we have coming up? Okay, that's later. There's your midterms. Okay, and that's it. Yeah. For those of you that are new, if you need to find out how to do things, how to post in Blackboard, use your how-to folders. Okay, how to get your turn it in receipts when you're doing your 3 paper projects. The papers are not that bad, 2 to 3 pages here. For the first 2, and the last one is just it's a gas because you get to interview your parents, your grandparents with your phone. Okay, so you can hang on to it and show it to your great grandchildren. Okay, any point in time, we're always looking for support, from you guys. So you can always take this survey as many times as you want, and we look at it and we try and improve the course. All right, so you just click on there, and it's pretty straightforward. All right, let's get into this week's assignments. Every week, you click on this, okay? And then you look for the week, all right? So a lot of you guys had to do quick makeup, week 1, week 2, okay? Week 3, and now we're getting into week 4. And like I said, as promised, a little biology here, 1, 2, 3. This is a cross between psychology and biology. And you see we go into something that's going to be near and dear to your heart, because what goes around comes around, and that is caring for your parents, grandparents, somebody care for you, and what that's all about. And then we do economics, retirement planning. All right. So we're going to help you set up your retirement, either through a government job and a pension, or setting up your own 401k, 401(b), IRA, Roth IRA. If you haven't done it yet, do a Roth IRA, guys, because you guys are at the primary age to be doing that. You're not making a lot of money. You don't pay taxes on it hardly at all. And later on, the return on the investment is huge. And then we end with the big 3 of law. Okay. Alrighty. And you go over these with your parents. This is important to go over each one of these with your parents. Make sure you're all set up. Okay. Awesome. Let's get into today. All right. Okay. So my lecture is going to go right here. Okay, into this box. I haven't put it in there, but I'm not going to, as soon as I get down here, I'm sticking it in here. Um, you click on this, okay, and then what it does is it downloads a PDF file as the reading assignment that I'm going to go through. I've already done that right there, all right? There it is right there. At the same time, when you're reading this, the best strategy is to click on the quiz and then hit begin, and then go ahead and take the quiz as you're reading, because it makes it really easy. Remember, there's about 25-30 questions, so no two of you are going to get the same quiz. You're welcome to take the quizzes together. I think it would be great if you did. Call your friend up on the phone and you can work together on that. All right. And then we'll get into the discussion. And this discussion is very applied to the aging process in terms of ourselves. Okay. Specifically, the eggs in your ovaries and the sperm in your cojones. Okay. All right, let's do this. All right, so again, don't forget to open your quiz. All right, so let's look at this right here. Let's look at the theories of aging. All right. Okay, so this is just, just with this kind of thing, I know this is not your wheelhouse, just kind of read it for pleasure as best you can. All right. We're going to, as they talk about here, why do we age? Is that kind of like almost like a Darwinian evolutionary thing? Is there a purpose behind it? Is it programmed? And then the other part is, what do we know that causes aging? Okay. And within that spectrum, we can look at, animal models. You're going to hear about, my good friend Sean Curran. He works with this little worm that only lives a couple days. But hey, you can do a pretty significant aging study in a couple days versus if you do aging studies in humans, you got to have a lot of money, a lot of time. You got to do it for 100 years and everything in between. All right. In terms of animal models, mice are a great animal model because you can manipulate their genes, just like in Sean Curran's little. They're called C for a long ass name, elegans. Okay, C.elegans. There we can get in there and ask the question, how do we age? And look at the influences of genes combined with the outside world. How the amount of food you eat, the amount of exposure to sun, all these different types of things. Okay, so this is nurture and nature, and we can really dive into that and test direct hypotheses. And that's the good thing about what the work doing. Walter Longwell is another one in our group that can do this. Mark Vermoost does this in our group. We have kind of we do have the leading center in biological aging in the world, and we actually network with another center up in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, and together we're just a powerhouse. All right, so awesome, and we have an actual PhD program too. So check it out. All right, so we get into testing these hypotheses, and this is something that Sean does all the time. Can he modify the course of aging by manipulating the genes, which is what mad scientists do, or just by changing what you eat and how often you eat? Okay, so this right here was the original gangster. Okay, calorie restriction done in animals, lab animals, where you just restricted their diets, and now it's just this like phenomena worldwide that we practice at our house, and that I make part of my other classes that are upper division. Okay, and this is called, we call it intermittent fasting, which really comes down to I try and stop eating at about 8 o'clock at night. I get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee. We go for a walk or whatever kind of exercise I can get in, and then we start eating at noon. And so we have an 8-hour window from noon to 8 o'clock that we eat, and we fast in between. All right. So and what happens is during that period of time when you're fasting, whether it's these guys, which is their calorie restriction, or us, okay, is that your body is able to say, okay, so there's not a lot of nutrients around right now. It would be lame to be killing off cells expecting I'm going to make brand new ones, so I better hunker down and protect the ones I have. And so all these protections get put into place by just sensors and subsequent molecular biology. Things that institute DNA repair, keep you from having cancer, reduces your risk of diabetes, increases the ability of all of your cells to deal with a stressor. You know, for example, if I had a blow to the head, if I've been doing intermittent fasting a little bit, I'm going to be better off. Okay, so that's, you know, that's all what's going on in terms of hypothesis being testing. Okay, awesome. Okay, now I talked about, you know, stress resistance, and when we look inside our bodies, there are hormones, insulin, and another one just called IGF-1, and they're all about grow, you know, make more fat cells because this person's, you know, eating, you know. So we got to store that energy because evolutionarily, guys, you know, where we came from, which, you know, may seem like a long time ago to you, hundreds of thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. You know, basically we would be cruising around in our little tribes, and you would eat a meal and just freaking gorge, you know, store it up. Okay, you know, you pack your liver full of glucose, it's called glycogen, you pack up all your fat cells, and then you go cruising around. You might go a day and a half with no food. All right, so now you better repair everything, okay, and you slowly burn all those calories that you had. It's not constant. The problem with our Western diet, the problem with the obesity epidemic that is, you know, is connected to the Western diet, is all your body knows is grow when there's nutrients coming in, you know. And not only do your fat cells get bigger and bigger and bigger, okay, but cells that cause your blood vessels get full of cholesterol-laden plaques, they get bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? It's not normal. What else happens? Grow. What's a disease that's grow? Cancer. So all forms of cancer are linked to obesity in some way or another. All right. So if you and it's been shown that certain amount, you know, amount of fasting will actually protect against cancer. All right, because you're not going to have insulin or IGF-1 around all the time, which is a foot on the gas pedal for cancer if you diet. Now, you know, you don't fast all the time, okay? Just little bits and pieces, okay? So look into it, all right? So it's really kind of cool. Alrighty, so and that's, you know, kind of the biology a little bit, you know, letting you know behind the craze. So this is that worm that my good friend Sean Kern, who's a full professor and he's the dean of research for our program at in the Davis School of Gerontology. And we work, the place up in San Francisco I was talking about is called the Buck Institute for Aging Research, and it's phenomenal as well. And a lot of what is being done is you find genes or the molecules that can affect how our genes play out. And then these become the new drug therapies, the drug therapies of the future, because whether it's cancer or diabetes or Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, vascular disease that leads to stroke, heart attack, these are all, the biggest risk factor is aging. So if you can modify the aging process, then maybe we can reduce the kind of burden of all these diseases on us as individuals and also in society, okay? All righty. So this is kind of stuff that Sean's doing, okay? They talked a little bit here about, again, natural selection, like I was talking about, and Darwinian evolution with respect to the aging. And that's for you to read and, you know, see if you believe it. I believe it, but let's see what you think, okay? When we look at theories, okay, I'm going to go back to the course here, just real quickly here, not the quiz, but the course. We see all these theories right here. It'd be like myself and Goggendeep and myself and Natalie Byrne and myself and a bunch of different people looking at biological aging, but in different aspects of it and coming up with their own theories. But oftentimes they really, you're looking at the same phenomena from just a slightly different perspective. And so you have these kind of overlapping theories, and that's what this is all about. So here, you know, let's just start right off the bat with just science alienating everybody by calling something antagonistic. Okay, antagonistic means what's good for one person can just be shitty for the other. Okay, you can be, you know, doing something that makes you feel good, but you antagonize somebody else. Okay, so the antagonistic, good for one thing, bad for the other. pleiotropy. Okay, so these are pleiotropy is growth for a purpose theory. Okay, so basically, the antagonistic pleiotropy theory is all the central drivers for us to make us so that we are just crazy reproductive machines. All right, right in your youth to survival of the fittest in your genome, all that is just make you big and strong, big and strong, big and strong, comes back to bite you in the ass later on in life. All right, so what's good in youth may not be good as you get older. All this growth. Okay, so that's what that's all about. Waste accumulation is related to things like having mutations. How the mutations happen maybe from free radical damage, right? So you reduce your free radical damage. You just eat antioxidants, stop eating high calorie foods, that give you insulin resistance, and a big part of diabetes is advanced glycation. Everybody that's a diabetic, the primary test is a glycation test. It's called the hemoglobin A1C test, and that's when you have really tons of sugar in your blood. It just glycates the crap out of hemoglobin. It's a long-lived protein that can cause all these catastrophes. Okay, so you see how all these things are kind of work together. So that's cell division is telomeres. Okay, all right. Every time a cell divides, there's a little sensor on the end of the chromosomes. It gets smaller and smaller, and it slows the rate at the next cell can divide. All right. So it's thought that if we could lengthen the telomeres, then maybe we can increase the rate of cell division, and we will be better. Except for one little caveat, and that would be the second most common mutation in all forms of cancer is that this telomerase puts telomeres back on our chromosomes and speeds up cell division in cancer cells. So nothing's ever so clear. Okay. Immunity can be a problem as we get older, different forms of autoimmunity, and we have hormonal regulations. We'll talk about that. And then again, evolutionary theory. There, I went through everything, all right? Probably went a little bit too much detail, but that's okay. All right. So one of these accumulation of damage things, theories, can be free radicals. Okay, free radicals are like either you have a 2021 Porsche and it's just so efficient, or you have a 1962 Volkswagen, not so efficient. Okay, in terms of spewing out these free radicals, right? That's what the cells do, and they get spewed out by your little powerhouse. Okay, like the engine block of your cell called the mitochondria, and they become really screwed up and less efficient. They spew out free radicals, then they alter the proteins that for your cells function. They cause mutations in DNA. They cause mutations in the mitochondria's DNA, so that when they make new proteins, the mitochondria works even worse. Well, so this is this whole thing, okay? And remember I talked about diabetes, okay? Slap on a little glucose, and that's a cross-link that completely screws everything up. So these proteins, not only do they not work as well, but then they get sticky and they glob together, and we see it in the brains of Alzheimer's patients, we see it in the brains of Parkinson's patients, and we see it in the arteries, in the hearts of people that have cardiovascular disease that also causes stroke. On and on and on. So that's what that's all about. These are, again, you're just a scientist making these observations, okay? Okay, cool. So this is a full-on theory, all right, that we are actually programmed to have this aging set of genes set into motion, okay? Because we need to we can't have the same guys reproducing all the time. We're never going to get the genetic diversity, okay? So this is the way of just having some turnover in the population. All right, cool. That's what that's all about. So this gets into this. Remember the theory of antagonistic pleiotropy that I talked to you about. Okay, click on that; it defines it. What's good for reproduction now makes me really screwed when I get older. Okay, you don't need to grow. There's our mitochondria, big old guy, right? Found in every cell. Actually, it's a symbiote, an ancient symbiote. Believe it or not, way back when a bacteria went and moved into another single cell organism and said, you know what? how about we have this like this cooperative relationship? And then next thing you know, that's where we're at now. All right. Every cell you have has a mitochondria. Okay. All right. Genome maintenance. Okay. What happens to our DNA? Okay. Yeah, I talked about free radicals. Okay. Then what happens? You get mutations. It screws up cell division. This is why we get cancers. It's also why cells will die off eventually. That's why you got to fast every once in a while so that you get DNA repair. All right. So that things work better. If the mutation's happening in that little bacterial guy, the mitochondria, then you're going to be spewing out all kinds of exhaust, free radicals. That's going to cause more mutations, and it's this downward spiral that happens. Okay. The last two neuroendocrine theories. One is stress hormone called cortisol. Right. So you got to, it has, the point of stress hormones is to protect us during the short term. We're being chased by a lion, and then to shut the system off. But not today's world, man. We just, psychologically, we just ruminate and we're stressed out all the time. And the end result is we've turned on this program, this hormonal program in our bodies that just really tears your body apart long term. That's where you have to have stress reduction. And the other one right here, this was talked about insulin and IGF-1. This all has to do with diet. If you have ungodly amounts of overnutrition, the system's turned on all the time. All right. It causes obesity, inflammation, and it also is a driver for cancers, heart disease, everything else. Okay. All right. So I think that's about it. This right here, it goes into this concept of the telomeres and how many cell divisions every cell is allotted. Okay. And yeah. All right, so that's it. Hopefully that gave you a feeling of what the class is all about this week. Okay, and then we scroll down here into the discussion. Okay, 1 substance post and 3 posts that are on your friends. This one should be, should be fun a little bit. All right, here, we've all been there. All right, so when I met Julie, she was 20 years old. All right. Just turned 20. I was 26 and a half. I in no way wanted to have kids, nor did she. We had to get our careers together, on and on and on. Okay, so and that's what you guys are, for the most part, are doing too. You're keeping yourself from being reproductive. Okay. However, you'll get to an age where then you suddenly say, okay, I've got my shit together. Let's go ahead and have kids now. Okay. But what's happening oftentimes though is that there is a loss of the number of eggs, okay, from all the processes that we were talking about. And we're going to look into this a little bit right here. So and the eggs that you have left behind have damage and they don't work as well, right? It's not just the women too. Guess what, guys? Your ability to put out sperm that work correctly as you get older. So you do everything you can your whole life to not have babies, and then you say, okay, it's time, and then biology is kind of working against you, right? So this is all about reproductive aging, but also the whole medical field of fertility, okay, and fertility treatment. There's a lot of different websites. We just chose this one. It's kind of cool, okay, because I'm very graphic. And there's a lot of really cool graphs. Now, this little paragraph right here is just a kind of a wake-up call, So, so believe it or not, ladies, all your eggs are in you as a fetus. By the time you're born, 50 to 75% of those eggs already died off. Okay, you were born with hundreds of thousands of eggs. Okay, more than enough to have a couple kids. Okay. By the time you go through puberty, okay, now you're left with 10 to 20% of those hundreds of thousands of eggs, okay? This is how many eggs fly through every month, okay, when you menstruate. And then what happens is, sadly, is as you get older, the number of eggs that fly through the system when you menstruate go down, and the quality of eggs also goes down. And so we start seeing, you guys are prime real estate right now, prime time. Okay, this is the best time to have children. So this is the birth rate per 1,000 women, where you're not using any birth control. Okay, and then we see bum, it just drops off steadily. Okay, and there's basic biology in terms of the integrity of the system. There are mutations that happen. Okay, the quality of the eggs goes down and down and down as you get older. Okay, and we can see that by going in down here to these other parts right here. All right, so let's look at the quality of your eggs. Okay, so let's say you're having trouble. If you're having trouble, then you go see a fertility expert, and they're going to look at the number of eggs that you are cycling through every month, and the number of eggs goes down with age. All right, so the probability of getting pregnant goes down, and a readout of these eggs is this hormone right here. So we can measure that hormone. It's going down, but not everybody's the same. Maybe some people it's going down just so fast, you know. So then the doctor would say, well, if that's the case, then we can give you some giddy up to make sure the eggs you do have cycle through. Okay. All right. This is right here that another test. Your brain. So as you go, you guys know every single month. Okay. You have a menstrual cycle. Okay, and it has to do with a number of eggs in your ovaries getting bigger and bigger, and this follicle forms, and it's releasing all this estrogen and another hormone you see right here called inhibin. So it's the more and more estrogen happens, then boom, it shuts. The first thing it does is it causes this massive stimulation of the hypothalamus to release this hormone, okay, called luteinizing hormone that causes this follicle to burst. Now, before that happens, FSH is released by your brain into the blood to cause these follicles to get bigger and bigger. So this is called a follicle stimulating hormone. That's exactly what it's doing. Okay, so we can test your system by doing, you know, if you're having fertility issues, by seeing how responsive you are to FSH. Okay, now, so this FSH test is talked about right here. So just explains what FSH is, okay, how it works, okay. And so what we see here, again, sadly, is a function of age. All right, so we see down here this kind of beige colored, brown beige colored is 43 and older, and then we see this is 41 to 42, 38 to 40, 35, 37, and younger than 35. Okay, we're looking at the delivery rate as a function of your blood level of FSH. Okay, all right, and so the higher the FSH level, that's just a reflection of you're not getting follicles to go cycle through. All right, so it's not shutting off the brain's release of FSH. Okay, the brain keeps putting out that say, hey, where are the follicles? I know what. Let's give more follicle stimulating hormone. The brain just keeps pushing out. And eventually you should get the estrogen feedback. But if you don't get these guys cycling through, the brain keeps pushing out and pushing out. All right. So having numbers out here, this high FSH, means you're not having any eggs cycle through. And that's why you have a really crappy likelihood of getting pregnant. Okay. Higher FSH, lower level of pregnancies. All right, so we would give you more issues of more ways to measure this. All right, and that's what happens. And then there's another way to look at your eggs, and we give you this drug called clomiphene. It's kind of a crappy little video. You can look at it if you want. What clomiphene does, clomiphene comes back here and puts this part of your brain into freaking overdrive. So when you give this Clomid or clomiphene, you pump out the amount of FSH, trying to get as many follicles to go through. It's not only a test of how responsive the ovaries are to the FSH, it's also a way of treating fertility, right? We did this way back when because we waited. So our first child, Julie, was 32, and our second child, she was almost 38. Okay, second one didn't come so easily, and so she tried doing the Clomid. She said her ovaries felt like basketballs, like ovaries, because the Clomid causes the FSH to just pump out, and the ovaries go okay, and they start just pumping out all these follicles. And this is how you get people like the octomom that have 8, 10 kids all at once, and it's because of that. All right, so these are all just things to consider. All right, so then you go back in here and you look at this, okay? There's a couple cool videos that talk about the next step. If you don't respond to Clomid, then you can do in vitro fertilization. This is where we being the medical community, will extract, do a surgery, okay? Little tiny laparoscopy, they extract eggs from the ovaries, okay? You put them into a petri dish, and then you get whoever the dad's going to be to donate a sperm. And then you get fertilization, and you let the embryos go in these little plates. You get to the about the 8-cell stage, and you take those cells. Again, you're starting with 1 cell, okay, divides 2, 4, okay, then 8 cells. You get to that 8-cell stage, and then you implant them into the uterus and hope that it sticks, and then you're pregnant. All right, so that's a much more extensive approach. Okay, it could cost you 15 grand to do something like that. All right, that's what that's all about. Then down here, like I said, it's not all ladies now, is it? Okay, so I'm just gonna blow this up so we can see what I'm talking about right here. This is a really cool article, 2014. It looks at the just a step back. Older sperm can be associated with more miscarriages. And certainly when as you become an older mom, the number of miscarriages going up, and these are from accumulated damage to the genetics of the egg, okay, as well as changes in the lining of the uterus, all aspects of biology, okay. But men can contribute to this with their sperm. That's what I'm saying, guys. It's 50-50, okay. And then we look at if you have accumulated damage in the genetics of your sperm, okay, and this is what we're looking at here. It was a controlled study. I'm gonna, sorry, get my head out of the way here. I'm gonna blow this up so we can actually take a look at it in a little more greater detail. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Well, that didn't work. All right. Maybe see if it's not gonna work. There. Now we're talking. Okay. Cool. All right. So let's get over here. All right. So now we're gonna come over here. All right. And we're going to look, so this is just, they have 3 different data. Okay, when you're doing this kind of study, it's kind of epidemiology. Epidemiology is kind of like, hey, what age group is most at risk for COVID-19? That's epidemiology. You study age, you study infections, and you come out with these findings. So now we're looking at, hey, what age of father is most at risk for having children with these mental health problems, okay? And so you gather the data baseline, okay, and then you have to sift out all the variables, right? So your question is age, but there's a lot of stuff, You're like, for example, how many of the fathers eat Cheerios? All right, how many drink coffee? How many do this, do that. I'm sorry, and grasp word, but you got to get rid of all those variables. So they're all the same. The only thing you're looking at is age. Okay, and we whittle all that down, and that's what the triangle shows. We can look here, for example, autism as a function of dad's sperm's age, and you see it goes bump, 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 bump as a function of age. Okay, so it's a little over twice as more likely to have a child with autism if you're 45 versus if you're 20. How about ADHD? All right. How about tenfold increase? Okay. All right. How about just general psychosis? Okay, you see that there's this big increase in bipolar, likelihood of your child committing suicide because of these mental health, likelihood of having substance abuse, usually because of these mental health issues, okay, because of self-medication. And we can look at failing grades in education, okay? So it's, the older you are, the greater the risk on this. All right, cool. So we look at all that, and then now I want you to discuss your thoughts about being parents, future parents, and all these issues that came up right here. All right, very cool, guys. Hopefully you found that useful, educational. I'm 50-50, I'm pulling for Tom Brady because he's so old. So, hey, this is about gerontology. But then if you're a Saints fan, you're not pulling for Tom Brady, so I don't know where to go. All right, Patrick Mahomes is pretty awesome too. Lots of storylines there. Let's just hope it's a good game. All right, guys. So with that, Julie said she's not. She's pulling for the Chiefs. Peace, and we'll see you guys next week.